So John, tell me a little bit about carbon printing. What is it? Where did it come from?
All right, well, carbon printing is the very first permanent print on paper. It dates back to 1855, and it was invented by a Frenchman named Alphonse Louis Potovin. It was the results of sort of the photographic community trying to find a permanent way to fix photographic images. It relies on the idea of ultraviolet light from the sun or whatever would tan the gelatin, make it insoluble, and so it was developed in hot water, and the image would stay where it was exposed because it was hardened, and would wash away where it's unexposed, and you were left with a relief image.
We're looking at layers of pigment here, right?
Yeah, pigment suspended in gelatin. This is all beef bone gelatin, which is photographic grade, so very high quality gelatin that I've made emulsions of cyan, magenta, yellow, and black pigment suspended in gelatin. So these are cooked and highly controlled and then coated onto dimensionally stable material and dried, and then those are then contact printed. The separation negatives are contact printed to the pigment films, and each layer is put on a temporary support, and you end up with a full color print.
It's hard to see on video, but this is just such a gorgeous range of yellows.
Oh yeah, look at the subtle, just the subtle nuances that exist all through there. Mm-hmm. This one's called Miracle of Order.
So this one is, again, fantastic range of tonal range. Right?
Uh-huh.
And you can actually, I can feel that wood grain there. Right?
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. What got me interested in it was the fact that all color photographs fade. By using pigments and dichromate, you can make absolutely permanent color prints.
Right. And why does that matter?
I think that if people pay a lot of money for something, that it'd be nice if it could hang on the wall and they didn't have to worry about it fading away.
Is that the only advantage, or are there color advantages?
No. Oh no, there's many advantages to them. I mean, they're the absolutely the most beautiful color print on the planet. There's nothing in its league at all. It's got the highest resolution, the longest tonal scale, the largest color palette. I can print colors that nobody else in the world can print. So it's quite marvelous. My friend in Seattle says that it's insanely difficult, and I guess in some ways it is. It works on the edge of failure. If you wet the pigment film a second too long, it'll blow off, it won't stay on, and you can start all over again. So it's quite difficult. The humidity has to be monitored and watched very closely. If it's too dry or too wet, that causes problems, and there's registration problems and all sorts of things. So it's quite finicky and quite difficult to do.
And how long does it take to do a print generally?
Well, after you've made the materials, because nobody makes the materials commercially, and I have the separations in hand, it usually takes me 5 days to make a print. When I first started, I spent 5 years, day after day, 7 days a week, 18 to 20 hours a day, trying to solve the problems that I had trying to learn how to do it. So it was a bit crazy.
Right. And right now it strikes me as a very precarious process, that there's companies that aren't making the chemicals anymore, people that aren't doing the film anymore. So how long before you can not do this anymore?
Well, it's anybody's guess, but it's been tenuous since I started doing it. So that was, almost 20 years ago. So we're still doing it. We just find new ways of doing things and find other people that make something that'll work for us or whatever. So
Right.
I don't see it going away anytime soon.
Right. And how many people in the world are doing this kind of printing?
Well, full color prints, really, I guess, let's say there's 4 people now. There's a man in England, one in California, and one in Washington State in Seattle, and myself.
So you're the only Canadian,
I am.
right? And what's your sense of how long you're going to keep doing this?
Well, it depends. It depends a lot on whether there's any interest in it or not. I'm getting kind of tired of beating my head against the wall.
Right. So what's the world going to lose when it loses this?
Just the sheer beauty. Unfortunately, and it really is, it's the rarest print in the history of photography. Very few have ever been made. So people don't know what they're looking at. Even when they see it, they don't know what it is. So I think that's all going to go away. In fact, if you take a look at what's going on photographically, most people that make images are now, using a digital camera. None of them have shot film or know what it's actually capable of or how it looks or anything. So that's all starting to become just a distant memory. In all the schools, Ryerson and the Rochester Institute of Technology have all apparently dumped their wet labs, and everybody's just doing digital imaging now. So photography really is actually kind of obsolete and gone. People call digital imaging digital photography, but really it's an entirely different animal than film photography.
Right. And this, what you're doing now, is a very rare animal, almost an extinct animal.
It is indeed. Well, I like to think that the photography is extinct. If what you're doing isn't obsolete, then it's not photography.
Right.